Hey there, Holly Show listeners. Aaron Nabus here, and on this episode, we're joined by our good friend, Greg Anderson Elysée. Greg has 7 Glyph Awards and counting for his series of Is Nana the Were-Spider graphic novels and one-shots. It's always fun having him on the show. Check out episodes 31 and 41. And it's also fun having him on a panel. Check out our Empowered panel that we did at Black Comics Day earlier this year on the Hall H YouTube channel. But on this episode 93, he's back with another one-shot, Is Nana the Were-Spider, Showtime, and it still has an active Kickstarter campaign until 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Welcome back to the show, Greg, and congratulations on fully funding your Kickstarter for this newest Is Nana one-shot, which will be 64 pages. Wow.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, man. It's good to be back. I love you guys, so I'm definitely excited to be back on here.
Sweet. I guess we can just get updated with what you've been up to lately. What's your typical day like? Are you still teaching?
I'm still, I guess, employed. I won't know fully because the art program that I work for, we don't usually start work again until maybe a month after school has started, and I haven't quite heard much details yet about what we're going to be doing. All I know is a lot of outside programs aren't quite allowed to be going back into the schools. So we might be aiming to teach remotely, which might be a bit of a hassle for me because towards the end of the school year, I had a lot of difficulty trying to teach a lot of hands-on film production that would have been a lot easier to do when I was in the classroom. So I guess I'm begrudgingly looking forward to how the school year is going to be, and hopefully I still have my job.
Mm-hmm. And besides that, what other projects are you juggling?
Well, I was always doing a lot of different odd jobs, but right now it's just been trying to do this comic writing stuff, doing some writing gigs on the side, and hopefully, having them pay me on time. Well, also, luckily, there's been a couple of people that have just been coming on the website and purchasing books as well. So that's just been working in my favor here and there. Some of my side gigs, unfortunately, had to close off as well due to COVID, but I'm trying to stay as positive as I can and, save up as much as I can.
Has the pandemic sort of given you an opportunity to focus on your writing and other creative endeavors?
Yes, definitely. I've been able to work on this one particular project that I've been working on with TJ Sterling, who does Okemos, and he's also running a Kickstarter which is about to end in a few days. And he has been trying to get me to sit my ass down to, develop this concept before COVID. And my schedule was always wonky, trying to get me to sit down with him. And once this whole pandemic happened, it was sort of like now he had me trapped. There was no way I can go now except get this done with him. And so that's been a lot of fun working. And we finally have an artist who's been doing some amazing work for it as well. Let me see. I guess being able to save up money for the next Is Nana books has also been something that has helped add to the progression of the production as well.
We'll get to Is Nana in a minute, but I'm curious. Have you watched anything or read anything lately that sort of piqued your interest or has really made an impression on you?
Yeah, I finally been watching Avatar the Last Airbender.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've never seen it before, aside from like maybe one episode in the past. But my when the pandemic and the lockdown happened, it definitely had me spending more time with my family. Because this I'm always just locked up in my own spot, and my family is off doing their thing, and so it's helped us bond a lot and spend a lot of time. We've been playing video games together as a family as well. And my sister, who is a huge Avatar fan, she was doing a rewatch of the series, and I just happened to be in the living room, and I was like, "What is this?" I mean, I knew what it was, but it was like finally I can check it out, and I got so enthralled with the whole mythology of it, and the storytelling was amazing. And so after I think I jumped on somewhere around, I think it was season two,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched the whole series with her and my cousin. And once we finished, I finally started watching it on my own. So I started watching it, season one, and now I'm about to finish season two on my own as well. So I'd say that um, Lovecraft Country has been like one of my recent favorites as well. I was a huge fan of the novel by Matt Ruff, and so seeing Misha Green do this amazing, dope ass job on the adaptation, and to the point where I might even enjoy the series a bit more than the book, which is saying a lot because I was obsessed with the book. That's something that's a huge testament.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's probably a good segue to maybe talking about um, representation matters concerning black representation. I know that I was looking at your Instagram and regarding John Boyega's recent article in the British GQ, and the quote goes like this. He says, "Do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good." Um, why is that such a powerful statement, and how do you think uh, the black representation in our pop culture is right now?
Well, there was a huge bait and switch when it came to John Boyega's character of Finn. It was when he got cast. The people who knew who he was were very excited because we knew him from Attack the Block. That was this amazing, such a fun sci-fi movie with a predominantly black cast, and Boyega led the hell out of that role. And so him being cast as Finn for a Star Wars series, it was so like, whoa, this is freaking huge. And then, the advertisements had him with the lightsaber. He was in. I think he was in more marketing than any of the other characters, even Rey. Even though we've seen Rey here and there, we didn't really quite know just how important she was to the mythos until we saw the movie. But it was John Boyega that seemed like he was the face. The beginning of the trailer of this stormtrooper, disbanding and going against his programming to become a possible Jedi. That was just this amazing visual to see, and we ended up being disappointed when it finally came out, and it seemed each movie his portrayal just got worse and worse in some fashion. And I think that anger that he felt, it was definitely an anger that a lot of black fans that I knew felt watching the role. And so I could only imagine just how frustrating it was for him to be so excited to be part of this franchise and assuming he would play this huge important role and sort of be pushed into like a comedic side role at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just something that we were hoping not to happen, and to see it actually happen, and finally seeing a black actor voice this frustration, because I think in the past we've had so many of these annoying roles for these black characters, but the actors were usually very hushed about how it actually made them feel. And just to hear his grievous, even though it's against this huge company like Disney, who probably have this huge power to blackball him from any other production, I think it was very courageous and something that we needed to hear and we needed to read as black content creators. And for people who are trying to showcase black people, even though they may not be black themselves, to remember that we are human beings and we like to be seen as good enough to share the stage and to be a lead character without dumbing us down to prop up, the white hero all the time.
And I think that was a pretty prevalent theme. I mean, even looking back at the Black Panther movie, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, about sort of getting rid of that white savior.
Yeah, agreed. That was definitely something that why Black Panther hit so many people, especially a lot of black viewers. I know when it came out, there were a couple of naysayers, black included, that didn't think it was as hyped up as it was supposed to be. But for the ones that it resonated with, this was something that we don't commonly see in the media when it comes to genre stories. Someone who is, this lead black character who was surrounded by a whole bunch of different black faces as well, who all had their own storyline, their own personality, their own sort of connection to the general theme and concept of the plot that was going on. I love the fact that his love interest was a darker skinned woman, something that we never see, to the point that he was actually smitten to see her. And that's something that, as I said, we don't quite see often at all.
That
not even often.
He would always freeze up, right?
Yeah, he would freeze up. He was like a deer in headlights, looking at her. And Lupita Nyong'o, she's an absolutely beautiful woman, and we see it. We see how beautiful she is. But when it comes to women of her complexion, they're never represented as the beautiful figure. We see they may be gorgeous to look at, but they're maybe a side character or something exotic character just to prop up, some other character, and they're not that important. But just to see this important woman who was beautiful, who was dark, and be sexy and be intimidating and be agile and extremely competent to the plot as well. I thought that was just something that, like, this is a reason why this movie resonates so much for a lot of black audiences.
Mm-hmm. And I guess to maybe even take it to the next level, you mentioned Lovecraft Country. I have yet to watch it, but even just sort of flipping the script, how Lovecraft was a known racist, and then this iteration being showcasing black actors in the forefront. I mean, that must be something powerful.
Yeah, I love the series. So far it's a great showcase of representation. We have different types of black characters. They're all connected to each other, and none of them are stereotypical. It's hard to really say, oh, this is this type of black character, this is this type of this black character, and so on and so forth. They all have their dimensions, their connections to each other, and a lot of that goes back to the novel, which actually surprised me because I had no idea Matt Ruff was a white man until I finished the book and turned to the back and saw his picture. And so the whole time I was reading the book, thinking it was a black person who wrote it, and that's one thing is I never look at the back of a book if I'm interested in it, because I don't want to be sort of spoiled what the general story is. And and even just shouting out to Misha Green, who does the adaptation. She's the lead writer and producer. She's just fleshed out these characters and just given them so much more dimension and heart that we don't even see in the book, which is needed. I like seeing black geeks on TV, which a lot of the characters are. They're intelligent, they're resourceful, they're loving, they're caring, they're sexy, they're scary. It's great.
Now, I guess we can switch gears and talk about your new story, Is Not the Worst Part, or Showtime. It's currently in Kickstarter until September 30th. And, once again, congratulations on on getting it completely funded.
Thank you, thank you. That was a huge surprise to me how fast it happened. I was hoping it would happen, but that caught me off guard.
I'm not surprised. As far as the story goes, I mean, I know you're from New York, but was breakdancing always a sort of was that the direction that you're always thinking about going?
So yes and no, in the sense of like I wanted the book to be a tribute to these break dancers, especially the dancers that we see on the train in New York City, which is a part of New York culture, and also I'd say Black New York culture, hip hop culture as well. So that goes into the theme that I want with Isnana, and these, given that the general is not a story, is a celebration of Black stories and folklore and Black figures, spirituality, and so on and so forth. So I felt going this route was something that just fit the character, and also I was inspired by students of mine that I had years ago who were breakdancers, and I just felt it just seemed very perfect to have his Nana meeting these type of characters and learning how to be a kid, and also them representing, I guess, the youth in New York City when it comes to even just showcasing how diverse it is, to the point where it's not even acknowledged generally how diverse this group of friends are, because that's the New York I grew up in, that I'm still growing up in and seeing out in the open when I'm in the streets.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you as part of the breakdancing crew, there's even an Asian there as well. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to have an Asian character, because one thing with the breakdancing culture, I've known quite a number of Asian b-boys and b-girls. Maybe not fully personally. I know maybe one or two that I'm somewhat close with, who dabbled in that when they were younger. And I've seen many videos of battles, and so it would be like a mix of blacks and Asians, competing with each other or in groups with each other. So I definitely wanted to highlight that, and also highlight a girl in the group as well, which I feel like they don't quite get too much representation when it comes to actually seeing breakdancers.
If you were to break it down, pretty much, if you were to break down the story of this one shot down for somebody, just giving sort of the quick snapshots. I mean, how would you describe it to say just pretend you're at a con and you're trying to describe it to somebody at your table. How would you do it?
I would say this is a story about the son of a god who learns how to be a kid by urban city youth and dancing.
Nice. And it's kind of cool. There's a few scenes in there that I don't know if we want to give it away, but there is an altercation with the police.
Yeah, so I wanted to also use this book as a way to highlight an experience that Isnana has never dealt before, and that's the experience of reality of race. Because he is in form that we see, he is a spider that takes a black boy's form, and so maybe it's something that Anansi has experienced, because Anansi is a black god. He's well known in this sort of universe in some sense, and he understands what the concept of race is. But Isnana himself, given that he's still sort of new to the world, he's actually a spider who turns into a boy. So the thought of race is not something that comes to his mind. But when he meets this youth, and all of them are youth of color, this is their life. They're used to it, and it's extremely common, unfortunately, in a city like New York. I have many friends who all of color, who have dealt some way with police, stopping them for absolutely no reason. Maybe they're a group of friends just hanging out. Cops will find that as a reason to check them, to stop and frisk them. I had students of mine that were stopped and frisked, and it was a huge traumatic situation for them that still bothers them to this day. And I wanted to highlight that especially seeing how his Nana deals with it, and the fact that he doesn't quite fully get the ramifications of it, but once he gets introduced to the idea of race and racism, we see how it lingers in his head and just how traumatic it actually is when he, when he even by having a cop in his presence after.
And yeah, I mean, just seeing how Isnana sort of navigates this new part of his life. I mean, even when they're talking about race, he's not even looking at skin color. I mean, to him, race is like, human, animal, insect. So I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to. That's one thing I definitely wanted to highlight because especially when you think about kids growing up before before the veil of race comes. Sometimes they may see someone who looks different, but they see it as just another kid. They don't quite see the whole context of race. They just see, oh, this is somebody I can play with, I can have fun with. Unfortunately, they grow up and then the reality comes. And that was also something that watching my youngest brother who just turned 11, I don't think he fully understood the concept of race until the whole George Floyd thing happened, and I had to sort of sit down and talk to him and my cousin because they were on lockdown and quarantine, and they had no idea of any current events that were happening. And I sat them down and had the discussion, told them everything that was going on, the whole riots, and even going back to the racism in the country when it comes to black people and police brutality and so on, and just seeing like my brother take all the information in. I don't think he ever actually experienced racism, or maybe I don't know if he has or hasn't, or just coming to terms with the fact of holy crap, this is something that's real. That sort of broke my heart to see his face change and sort of accept this newfound information. And my cousin, I had to sort of comfort him because he started crying with the realization of the fact that we are targets in some sense.
Wow. That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
In the book, like you mentioned, it you have a diverse cast of characters. Do you want to briefly break those down as well?
Sure. Yeah. So we have Isnana, who is from the Mother Kingdom, which is another realm. His particular area would be in West Africa, and I definitely wanted to represent him as a fish out of water from this different realm into ours. And he meets three individual dancers. Princess C is Asian, the girl in the group who is sort of the first one who takes to his Nana. She takes him in. She sees him as this amazing dancer, and just thinks, "Hey, let's put him in a group. Let's see how he works with us." And she is, I'd say she's definitely like the friendly character who not only takes him to heart, but who shows the first care about him. He's an outsider. She wants to make sure he's okay, to make sure that she's comfortable, that he's comfortable, and also just want to have fun, and keep the group together as a whole. We also have Crimson, who is our character, darker skin. I want to hint that he is a Caribbean character, an immigrant. Not an immigrant. I'm sorry. His parents being immigrants, so he's first generation, and he's darker skin. Also has vitiligo, and he's more so the sort of chill character. It is what it is. If not, Isnana wants to hang with us, cool. If not, cool. He doesn't really, you know, there's nothing off his shoulders, but at the same time, he does. He starts to value Isnana once he realized just how innocent Isnana is, and he sort of takes him up as like a bit of a guide when it comes to talking about the issues of race. And we have Grigri, who is Puerto Rican and Afro-Latino character, who is more of the cynic in the group. He doesn't fully trust Isnana, or he takes a while to warm up to him, but he also has a soft side by the end of the story.
Yeah, this is such a huge book, but like once I started reading, I couldn't stop, and it was over before I knew it.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, you just got me waiting, wanting more, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to bring them back. I had a lot of fun writing them, and I've been wanting to, create a bit of a supporting cast for Isnana, because so far in each story he sort of comes and goes, he meets people and he leaves. But I wanted to finally have kids around his age that he can sort of bond with and learn to grow with. So the plan is, hopefully, if as I keep going with this concept, with the story, they become more regular in their appearances.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk about your creative team, because this book looks great. The colors, I mean, the palette just flows with the story. The panels, I like, the different panel breakouts are interesting. I thought it flowed really well. I mean, the breakdancing sort of montage is what, I mean, I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah, that page 3 is like one of my favorite pages ever. But yeah, Miguel Blanco, he is this amazing, amazing, amazing artist. I absolutely loved working with him. I sort of have this rule not to work with friends, because I've had some pretty bad experiences, and he was somebody that I was a little scared for, because I was like, oh, but he's one of my good friends. I don't know if I want to, do this thing with my whole past experience. But he came around, and I wanted somebody who knew, urban culture, who knew the city life. He's been in New York, he's been in Philly, so he knows the youth, and just having people walk around and how the city actually looks. And so I tried to get different artists who knew the city life, and Miguel was the one who decided he wants to do it. I felt he was perfect for it. His style just works perfectly. It's very dynamic. It's very fun. The fluidity of the panels and the story structure as well from his end. And I love to experiment with storytelling. And so seeing him experiment a lot was a lot of fun, and which also allowed us to flesh out certain scenes. So the book ended up being a lot longer than originally planned. I think it was originally 40 pages, and it just expanded as we kept on working with it together and shooting ideas back and forth. And David Brame actually introduced me to Angel Davis Cooper, gave me her information, because I wanted Lee Malusky, who's done pretty much most of the original colors for the previous Islana stories. But once he saw Miguel's pencils and line work, he didn't feel like he was the right fit for it. So I looked for somebody else. Angel came along, and she totally blew me away. Extremely professional, one of the most professional artists I've ever worked with. She was just a joy, and she added so much fun to Miguel's pencils, which were already fun to begin with. But I felt that brightness, that sunniness, was what I was looking for with this story, this coming of age story, when Islana was usually a very dark type of story with a lot of them.
Yeah, so I could see that from right away from looking at the pages that you sent me. There was a difference, and like it's almost like, well, I'm not comparing your comic books to Zack Snyder, but looking at Zack Snyder movies, and there's such a stark difference now. There is a brightness to your books now.
Yeah, I think she really killed it. She knocked it out the park. Also have Devon Bennett, who does the letters. He's been doing the letters for the last couple of his Nana stories, and just to have him on board as well is always a joy. He's so much fun to work with. He comes up with great ideas. If I'm sort of stuck with something with the lettering, he knows what to do. There's a reason why he's this Eisner nominated letterer, so I'm very fortunate to have him on board as well. I also have Corey Randolph on covers, which was a huge surprise to me that he was willing to do it. We are pretty cool. We're pretty good friends outside of this. So the fact that, and I know he's extremely busy. He's working on almost every freaking book in the world. So, and also his own creator, own excellence. So to have him take the time to do this cover, and also him knowing city life, that's something that I wanted as well. And David Brame does the bonus story, which follows the 2 weeks that the 1 week that is Nana does to practice his dancing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think I sent that to you. You should check that one out as well. And yeah, I think that's the team. And one thing that I actually really love about this team is everyone in the creative team is actually black, and so that was really cool for me to do for this one shot.
You want to maybe talk about some of the tiers and rewards of your Kickstarter campaign?
Sure. So there's digital versions and physical copies of Showtime. And if you haven't read any of the previous Nana books, you can also get those. You could get just volume 1 or just volume 2 if you're missing that, or if you just want the last one shot, you can do that as well. So I give different options to get any of the books along with Showtime. We also have a trading card set. The first set we gave out as a tier as a thank you for everyone who backed the physical. And this time around, you can get this first set if you missed out on it, and you also get the second set as well if you were a fan of the first one. We have Pop Toys for Nana and Osibo, who a lot of people voted that they wanted Osibo the leopard out of all the other characters, Pop Toys, so we're doing that. New T-shirt by my homegirl Tiana Scott, who we've been friends since freshman year in high school. And she just did an amazing Kickstarter, Happy Monster, with her sister Nia Scott. And also, quick shout out to Viet Win, who does the pops as well. John Jennings print, who he's always down to help out. He loves his Nana, and I'm a huge fan of him even from before I joined comic books, so that was exciting. And Rodney Sanan, who also does a print as well. And we have Modern Mythology, which is an anthology that I did with Caleb Palmquist. He did with a whole bunch of different creators who did modern versions of famous mythology or mythology from all over the world. And this Nana was one of the stories that I used, and so people will be able to back that and get that anthology as well.
Sweet. That's a lot.
A whole lot, yeah.
You could tell you're a seasoned veteran, though.
Yeah. It doesn't remove any of the stress, though.
That's true. I guess we'll take a quick break and do a thunder round. You're no stranger to our thunder round, right?
I'm stranger to that.
Awesome. All right. First question. Since we were talking about John Boyega and Star Wars earlier, in the Star Wars universe, what kind of character would you be?
What kind of character would I be? I think I would like to be a bounty hunter.
You know, when I was coming up with the questions, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what would I be? And I think bounty hunter might be what I would do too.
Yeah, it seems so freaking cool, you know. And for some reason, I imagine myself like. Have you played the most recent Mortal Kombat games?
I haven't played Mortal Kombat since the 90s.
Oh, man. Yo, the last couple have been amazing, but there's this sort of, I guess he's a mercenary type of character. He's a cowboy.
Oh, what?
There's a legitimate cowboy in Mortal Kombat now, and we don't know anything about him, even in the story mode. He's just there, working for the villains, and just there's something cool about him that I could imagine myself as that type of character in a Star Wars setting.
Oh, that's crazy. It's 10 p.m. and you're starving after a full day of writing and hustling on being interviewed on all these podcasts. What kind of food would you be craving?
Oh, man. Dang. I don't even know, honestly, because I feel like once that time comes, I try not to eat too much, but I'll probably have like a protein cookie and a yogurt just to not be heavy and, not bloat my stomach up.
Right.
But I've been craving. I've been enjoying a lot of vegan dishes recently. I used to swear that I would never become a vegan, but here I am eating a lot more vegan. Um,
What are,
and I
what are,
can.
what are some vegan dishes that you've come across that you like?
So there's this Jamaican vegan spot that's nearby. They do this Rasta pasta, veggie patties, chickpeas. They do some, and it just tastes so good. Everything they do just tastes amazing. So that's been helping me, I guess, a little bit with my diet. I've been consuming a lot less meat. I still enjoy meat, but it's definitely not as frequent as it used to be.
Hmm.
Uh, and I love jerk chicken still to this day. So that might be something I might be craving.
Awesome.
Oh, and sushi. I love sushi.
Oh,
I
hey,
can never say no to sushi.
is that why it's in the book?
Yes, that is actually why it's in the book. I needed to put
Now,
I
now,
needed to put a sushi scene in.
now, now, is Nana's experience, first time experience, similar to what yours was?
No, actually not. Because the first time I had sushi, I thought it was disgusting. I did not enjoy sushi at all the first time I had it. I was like, what the hell? How could people eat this? And it took me years for me to try again, because I was hanging out with one of my best friends, and he I think one of his homegirls had like a small little get together, and she was like, yeah, I can make some sushi, and I didn't want to be rude and say no, and so I ate the sushi that she made, and I became like, I suddenly converted. I saw the light, and I've loved sushi ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, since you're becoming vegan, is the sushi something you're gonna try and taper?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I wouldn't say I'm becoming vegan. I've just been adding more vegan to my diet, but sushi will never. Oh man, I love sushi. I don't. And that's the thing. I don't eat it that much, but it's definitely something I treat. When I do have it, it's a treat, and I make sure my stomach is completely full when I have it.
Wow, you got me craving sushi right now, man. Yeah, the next time you come out to San Diego, we should hit up a spot.
Yes, yes. I think we did that. We did that in
Well,
You
that's.
didn't come with us though.
Oh, really? I didn't get the invite, huh?
You should have came, man. I think after Black Comics Day, a lot of us got together. I believe, yeah, it was a sushi spot. It was
Oh, it's
Keith.
it. Oh yeah, I was there.
You were there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we all right. So next time we're gonna sit next to each other to have the sushi.
All right,
Well,
sounds good. um, my next question is, do you think in-person comic conventions will be back next year? If so, which one do you think will be the first one that you attend in person?
oh my God, I wish, like, if I want comic conventions to come back. I miss them so much. I miss interacting with people. I miss selling it. Um, I can only hope. My fingers are crossed that it comes back. That I hope a lot of the pandemic starts to die down over time. I don't see it happening anytime soon, unfortunately, because a lot of people are not taking the precautions they need to do. So I don't see it happening anytime soon. I would love for it to, but I definitely would love to go back to Black Comics Day. I love San Diego. One of my best friends lives out there. I love seeing him. It's a week. It's a week out of my whole year, and it's just like a nice relaxation away from New York City. And Black Comics Day, it's always just a fun event. The people there are great vibes. Keithan is freaking dope. I love helping him out when I can.
Definitely.
It's that's definitely, hopefully, that's my first convention. Sometimes, or to Schaumburg, in Harlem, but it just seems like a far distance, like 84 years ago type of shit right now.
I was doing a podcast the other day, and I was trying to think of the last time I had this guest on, and instead of saying like 2018, I was going 19. And I was like, oh shit! Like, what year is it?
It's funny because now a lot of people are losing track of what day it is, So.
Right. Uh, um, why is working out important to you?
There's so much to this question. So I first got into exercising because of my father.
Mm-hmm.
My father is he exercises, he lifts weights, he still looks extremely great to the point where a lot of people when they see photos they wonder if we're close in age. um, and so it's always fun to see all the women and dudes just go crazy when I post pictures of us together. But he introduced me to weightlifting when I was younger, and it was like this bond between us. I think it was like the first thing that that we had in common like that, and so that was always something that I really cherished. I cherished those moments of us exercising, and as I was getting older and I was starting to really recognize my body, I was always getting teased for being very skinny, and that was something that I got from both my parents' side. My dad was naturally skinny before he was exercising. My mom was also naturally skinny. It was just something from both sides of our family, and I got both genes, and I was really, I guess, what people would consider bony, despite the fact that I ate an assload of food, but I just could not gain any weight. And so, constantly being teased about that, it played a huge part in my brain. I developed, body dysmorphia, to the point where when I was exercising and getting bigger, I still see that same skinny kid. And it came to a point where sometimes I just grew to love exercising. I love the feeling it gives me. I love the results. I love being healthy or trying to, you know, make sure that my nutrition is good. And sometimes I do enjoy, the attention, also just the back and forth of this is how I used to look, and also experimenting with my body to see, if I change this routine, if I change how I eat here, how will my body shape? How would it change if I add this as well? So that's been a lot of fun for me, and I just love the process. I love the feeling of it. I love feeling and looking good. So it's a whole it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's something about developing good habits that sort of has a sort of an an omni effect on your life. You know.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I sometimes do wonder if I wasn't teased for it, would I still have the same drive well with my body? And I don't know, but I'm glad that I picked up the habit.
Hmm. What was the last song that you listened to?
Hold on, I can actually check right now. What was the last song that I listened to? Just get off a screensaver. I gotta go back. uh, so I listen to shuffle. I have a shit ton of music, and it says the last one that I listened to was Shania Twain. You're still the one.
Oh wow! I haven't heard that in years.
Yep, I have a whole shuffle of just music from different times and genres, and that was the last song that was played.
Cool. My next question is, if Isnana would have run into you and your friends instead of the breakdancers, what would he have experienced?
Um, wow. Either a love for comics, a geekdom, or exercising, because that at this point, that's all I do with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Is I have a very small select group of friends. We go out to the park, we exercise, we vent, we just have a good time, bond, and so on and so forth. So I think that would be something that he would experience, and hopefully just enjoying himself. We try to push, being true to ourselves as individuals and just sort of being there for each other.
It's always a great experience when you can find um, a good set of people to be your inner circle.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I know a lot of people don't have,
Hmm.
but I'm extremely fortunate for a lot of the close friends that I have. So I try to be as honest as I can with who I am to them, and so to be accepted and to be, just to have them and to have them also open up and be themselves as well. That's something that I appreciate and I'm extremely grateful for.
Right. Um, what's your favorite word?
Crap, I have no idea. I know. Watch me figure one out once this conversation ends.
All right, you can think about it. We can come back to it. Um, if you could teleport to anywhere in the world right now, where would you go, and why did you pick that place?
Wow, that is a crap. If I can teleport anywhere, my first instinct is to say San Diego. I just love San Diego. I love that. I love that vibe. Maybe also I'd love to check Haiti, how Haiti is doing. I haven't been to Haiti and since I was a kid. My father goes back regularly, and so I've yet to go back, and I'd love to experience that again and to feel the culture and that atmosphere.
Yeah, they've been through a lot.
Yeah, they've definitely been through a lot, and that's one thing that my father and my stepmom they constantly go back there to help. My stepmom is a doctor; she goes there for medical reasons to help out when she can, and my dad tries to build a couple of programs and roads there for the country. So that's something that I hope over time that I can help out in some way, even if it's even just bringing the arts to some people there, which my dad has said they actually there's a lot of youth there that want this more um, access to art, especially stuff that I do. So that's something that hopefully I can do in the future.
Mm. Yeah, I think you're doing a lot with speaking of arts and youth, with your book. I think it I think it resonates a lot with not only you know comic fans but also the younger generation.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely wanted when I was creating Asdana. And it's funny because when I first came up with the concept, and before I guess Walter and I we got serious with the character, Asdana was going to be an adult, and it was going to be a bit more of a little bit more mature type of story. And when we were creating it and we started releasing some images, I saw how excited parents were because they said, "Oh, I love the Anansi stories. I can't wait to share this with my kid." And I was thinking, "Oh crap! I didn't even think about that." Especially with the fact of how sort of cartoony Walter's art was. And so from there, we decided to like shift a couple of things. So even though there's still a lot of scary horror images in it, but at the same time, I think kids love that stuff because I remember when I was a kid, I loved that crazy horror crap that parents should not be having their kids read or watch. And so I think that helped resonate a lot with a lot of youth that were getting into it. And I have parents tell me they read it with their kids, they enjoy it, so seeing that and seeing kids get so excited when they see me again at a convention, that's something that just fills me with so much joy.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's an awesome feeling. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to know about concerning Is Nana the Worst by Showtime? I guess as it pertains to the Kickstarter.
Um, well, we have about 3 weeks left for the campaign. It would be wonderful to just to have some more support, just to come on board and make this I guess more of a movement, I guess, for people, and really showcase and see what I've been doing, and hopefully as a way to help educate themselves and build an interest for a lot of Black mythology or spiritual figures, because I feel as if we can use this as a platform to showcase a new form of the narrative or education. Because so far we are so used to being introduced to European mythology to the point that it's a requirement in school. And I feel it would be great to showcase the variety that we have of different cultures, because we're not all one culture. We are many.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of mirror that, I was talking to somebody maybe about a month ago. His name is Mark Nazal. He's a VFX creator, but he's also working on his side projects, and he's Filipino, and he's trying to sort of showcase Filipino mythology. And so we were talking, and it's like, I know nothing about Filipino mythology, so just hearing him trying to spearhead, what he's trying to do, um, it's like wow, that's such an awesome thing. And he's also in the middle of creating a comic book that's based on some of the movies that he's created. So he's working with a Filipino artist in the Philippines. So it's really cool to see that project come together.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Are there any other projects that you're working on right now that you can tell our audience about?
Yeah, so I am working with Jason Reeves of 133 Art, who's also out in California. He has this universe called One Nation, where he has multiple characters and heroes. And one of the characters that he has is Stronghold, who is this um, black man with albinism and who's also queer. And he wanted me to sort of flesh out the character and his mythology and to help make him a bit more three-dimensional, I'd say. And so that's been a lot of fun working with. I'm working with Antonello and Cosentino, who does the art for that, and he did the art for my Marasa series. And so to be able to work with him on that has just been a lot of fun. And we've already jumped onto issue 2. We're hoping to do a Kickstarter very soon. We had to push it back for me to focus on Showtime, but Jason has been extremely fluid when it comes to that, and he's totally understanding. And working on a book with T.J. Sterling, which he does not want me to mention the title, but it's this crazy, wonky, trippy book, which is like a bit like I guess like a sci-fi sex comedy type series. I don't even know how to really classify it, but it's been a lot of fun co-writing that and co-creating that with him. The artist is amazing. I don't think he wants me to announce who the artist is yet either. But he's someone I admired for the past couple of years in the comic world. So to have him on board is just something I was very excited about. I am doing Noir is the New Black with Fabrice Sapolsky, which is an anthology that focuses on black noir and black comic creators who are doing noir stories. And so Fabrice has been in my inbox asking me where's my damn pitch. I will get it to him. And there's also a book that I'm working on with Quinn McGowan that unfortunately has taken a bit of a backside due to my busy schedule, but I definitely want to get that back on track with him, which follows us doing sort of alternate timelines, alternate history rather, focusing on blackness. So, or blackness or people of color, and sort of shifting history and seeing how things may change if things went a different route. So, but yeah.
Cool. I guess we'll keep tabs on your social media to see what you're working on.
Yeah, there's always something. I'm always working on something.
That's good. It's always nice to keep busy and always keeping that that creativity flowing.
Yeah, for sure.
What's since you're a writer, what's one piece of advice that you can give to aspiring writers?
I always say this: put your ideas down on paper. Everyone always says they have ideas, but they never actually put it down and get started. So I say, stop saying I have an idea. Take the plunge, write it out. Stop coming up with excuses as to why you aren't writing. That's something that a lot of people do constantly. Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have this, or I'm not in the mood. I'm not inspired right now. It's just like all that to me is just BS.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit down for 5 minutes. You can set a timer. I've told a few people this. Set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes just to write. Everyone has 5-10 minutes in their day to do that. Do that and just write. When the timer ends, you can totally stop, or you can keep on going if you feel like it. But if you take 5 to 10 minutes a day to write something, by the end of the week, you got something substantial, you got something solid. By the end of the month, imagine how much you have. And not to say it needs to be perfect. You can even just be writing a lot of BS, just as long as you get into that habit of putting your thoughts down on paper.
Yeah, it's that that process of self-discovery is so important.
Exactly, yeah.
And especially when trying to develop good habits that'll, hopefully take you to the next level.
Yeah, and I feel that's a lot of people, they become their own worst enemies in a way. They become their own obstacle, and that's just something that a lot of people need to get over.
Mm-hmm. I agree wholeheartedly. I guess we'll start closing out the show. Are there any superhero shout-outs you want to give out? I mean, we definitely can't do what we do without a little help here and there. So
I want to shout you guys out. You guys are awesome. I love you guys tremendously, man.
We love you too, man.
My friends or family, this is too much for me to name. I definitely want to shout out to my parents if they ever sit down and listen to my podcast and me ranting. My sister, my partner, everyone who's special and important to me, they've all played a part. There's just so many to name. I don't want to upset anybody by naming and then forgetting somebody.
Awesome. Have you figured out what your favorite word is?
Ah, man. I don't even know, bro.
I guess we'll table it for the next podcast that we do together.
Yeah. I might say a curse word. I don't know, but who knows?
Well, hey Greg, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show again.
Well, thanks for having me, Aaron, man. This was great. I want to, I guess, a quick shout out to Alex. I hope everything is good on your end as well.
Yeah, definitely. Before the podcast, he texted me and he told me to tell you, he told me to tell you that he says what's up, and he says to keep those stories coming.
He got it. Tell him he got it.
Sweet. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the Holly Show podcast. We love showcasing independent comic book creators like Greg Anderson Elysée. Please check out the Nana the Werespider Showtime Kickstarter campaign, which ends on September 30th, 2020. Even though it's fully funded, please consider supporting, since a portion of the campaign goes toward future books. If you believe in our mission to be the voice of independent pop culture creators, we would love a rating, hopefully 5 stars, and a comment on Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or our website, hallh.com. Also, please share our episodes using the hashtag HallHShow. Peace, cheers, and if you would like to recommend a guest for our show, please reach out to us on any of our social media accounts.